Hello, welcome to episode 40 of Little Bobbins Knits. My name is Dani and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Little Bobbins. We have a Ravelry group which you can find by searching Little Bobbins Knits in the groups tab on Ravelry, and show notes for the podcast can be found at littlebobbins.co.uk. I say again, usually I'm determined to get back to some sort of semblance of organisation. So I hope you're really well. It's been a few weeks again and I'm determined to stop saying that soon too. Bobbins here. Are you a good boy? We've got the dog again downstairs. If you haven't watched before, sometimes I look after someone else's dog for her when she's out and about, and she's a lovely dog. Her name's Flame and she's a big old sort of lumbering beast, but she's lovely. Bobbin doesn't like her very much. He sees it as a real inconvenience having Flame over. You don't appreciate it, do you? So he's a bit grumpy today and a bit delicate. So thank you so much for being here today. I've got some works in progress to show you, some finished objects, some lovely things. I'm starting a new giveaway and I've drawn for the Agatha Socks giveaway, so I'll let you know who won that at the end. So let's start with works in progress. Right. Oh, precarious things behind me. These haven't actually got a bag of their own yet. And this is with some new yarn. I was just thinking, am I showing you anything you've seen before again? Because I can't make it 3 podcasts where I've got all new projects, can I? But there is one that you've seen before, so that's a relief. Bobbin, can I have my arm, my little baby? Good boy, I love you. You're so good. So on Sunday, David and Bobbin and I went to festival. It's a yarn festival in Hitchin. And I'll tell you a bit more about that later because I have some other lovely things to show you from there. But I got this lovely yarn. I don't know. It's from whimsy.co.uk and the colour is Colours of the Underground. And this just seemed very appropriate. On Sunday I'm going to the Crimbo party being hosted by Helen of Curious Handmade podcast and designer, and it's in London. Did I just say that? Don't know. But yeah, it's in London. I'm going to go there on the train and be travelling on the Underground, so this seemed like a perfect choice for my travel knitting. It's fantastic colours. Let's see if this is going to... It's not really my usual type of yarn, but I just fell in love with it. The way it's been dyed, it's sort of half of the skein is this sort of really dark black grey charcoaly type colour, and then did I take a photo of it before I skeined it up? Yeah, there's a photo of it in a skein on my Instagram page, but I'll put it in the show notes as well because it was really interesting in the skein and it made me really want to see what it looked like knit up. So I thought I'd make a start on these for taking with me to the party on Sunday. If you can get to London, I think there are still tickets for the party, so yeah, looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And there are people going who I know and I'm so excited to see them. It's going to be really, really very fun indeed. So because I'm going to be travelling and sitting knitting with people, I don't do anything complicated in times like that. So I've just cast on a plain, excuse me, sock. So this is just my regular type of sock. It's 64 stitches on 2.25mm higher sharps, my favourite DPNs. And I love how it's knitting up. I wonder if it'll focus on that. give it a hand. Oh, there it is. I just love it. It's just the odd stitch is a flash of colour. There don't seem to be many sort of runs of colour or anything. So yeah, I love how this is working out. This is 100% superwash merino. It's the Sakusu O base. It's 150 grams and 380 metres, and it is so soft. I'm really enjoying using it. It's quite high twist, which you can see because it sort of twists up on itself. I always think high twist helps strength for socks. I don't know if that's true. I may have made that up, but it makes sense in my brain that that would be true. So I'm going to go with that. So yeah, I'm excited about these socks. I think they're going to be really lovely. I imagine they'll be for my mum because she likes bright colours more than I do, so I think they'll be lovely for her. But I'm just thoroughly enjoying them. They're really lovely yarn and making really fun socks. So there's my first project. I have started the other one as well. It's just here. And I love how the yarn is working up in the stocking stitch section as well. So lovely. So maybe I should talk about this later. No, I'll talk about it now. On the Whimsy stand, it's a lovely stand. I really enjoy the colours that she uses to dye with. I think the dye behind Whimsy is called Ling. And her stand is so lovely, and she had another skein that was very similar to that one in that it had a long section of one colour and then lots of different colours, and it was called Cupcake, and I am kicking myself that I didn't get that one too because it was so pretty. It was sort of browns and then it had sort of flashes of lilac and pink and really pretty, so I might have to get that from her website at some point because it was just so lovely. Right, so my next work in progress is in my little Cowtown Colourworks bag, which I think is so cute. Now this is a pair of socks that I started a while ago now. These are for a friend for Christmas, and these are for, I took my eye out with a needle. This is why I prefer DPNs. These are for a friend of mine who I knit socks for usually for Christmas and birthdays most years, and even though she is just horrendously rough on her socks. Last year I knit her a pair of oh, I don't know what's going on with my throat. Just have a sip of my tea. Last year I knit her a pair of the Wood Pigeon colourway from West Yorkshire Spinners, and I knit the heel in linen stitch because I thought that would be really strong. And someone asked in the thread about how those linen stitch heels are getting on. Burmy Knit asked in the thread how the linen stitch heels were getting on, and I must ask her. I'm not sure if she'd tell me if they had a hole in now, because I got back a pile of these socks that were more holes than socks with the request that I darn them, and I was just in shock that someone could make socks so holy. It was just, yeah, so I'm not sure she'd be telling me again if she'd made all the socks holy again, but I will ask her how those socks are getting on because I'm quite intrigued to know that too. So yeah, thank you for asking, and I will get back to you on that one. But I'm knitting her some more socks. This is King Cole Zigzag, and it's 50% wool and 50% acrylic. So I wondered whether that would be quite strong for her. Whether it would be less likely that she would make holes in this because of the really high acrylic content. I can't remember what this colour's called, but maybe Gorse or something like that, but I think the yarn's discontinued anyway. And I'm knitting the Blueberry Waffle Socks by Sandy Turner. Got to find the optimum place for where it decides to zoom. I don't know where that is, so let's just give it a hand, shall we? Anyway, so yeah, I really love the Blueberry Waffle Sock pattern. It just gives a really nice texture. I'll get the hang of this eventually, I hope. Sorry about the blurriness. Yeah, so the Blueberry Waffle Socks just gives a really nice texture, and it's also quite a stretchy fabric because it's a rib, and that can be good if you're not certain of the fit that is needed, because it will stretch to whatever fit the person needs. I think that makes sense. I think that I haven't looked at the pattern for ages because I've knit quite a few pairs of these socks, so I don't need to look at the pattern because it's very simple repeat. But I think the pattern is written for a heavier weight yarn, and so the cast on number is lower. But I always just use my regular cast on number of 64 stitches on 2.25mm needles, and that makes a really good fitting sock for me. This is on Magic Loop, and I don't really enjoy Magic Loop. I find it cumbersome. I just find DPN so much smoother. You just knit along one needle and then you're straight on the other needle. There's none of this pulling through cables and situating yourself. But this is on Magic Loop because I've stolen the needles to knit these on. Had to have a bit of a needle shuffle because I wanted to be knitting those socks with the higher sharps. But these, so I probably won't actually knit these socks on Magic Loop. Try and organise my thoughts here. I've started the other sock. I've done the heel and I'm just down the foot, and I put my Knit Pro Zings on these needles because I stole the other ones for those socks. And yeah, I'm knitting along with these. So when I finish this sock, I will put the stitches from this onto my DPNs and knit like that because I just find it so much more pleasant for me. I think we just get into a rhythm or a way we like to do things, and DPNs is definitely the way I like to do things. These needles though, if I were to do Magic Loop, I do like these ones. These are Addy. They've got a life of their own. They're like little snakes. They're Addies, and I think they're our version of sock rockets. I can't remember what they're called here, but I know the sock rockets in America have a blue cable, but I think this is our version. It's not, they're not brass coated like some of the Addies, which I prefer these to the other kind of Addies, because those needles can smell a bit funny when you're knitting with them. I found. I know other people have found that too. They've got quite nice tips and they've got a really, really smooth shaft. So yeah, I quite like those. If I were to knit with Magic Loop, I might use those needles. I would be more likely to use higher sharps, but they're a good alternative. So yeah, this sock's a bit longer. I've put in a heel. I've just done a slip stitch heel, and I've used some Artisano sock, Definition sock I think it's called, in the denim colour, because I thought it went quite nicely. A square heel turn because that's my favourite one. It's just so simple. You just split the stitches into thirds and you're just knitting back and forth over, in my case because of my stitch count, over 10 stitches, and then purl 2 together or slip slip knit on either side. So it's, you don't have to remember any numbers or anything. You can just work it out with what you've got, which is really great. So yeah, they're coming along. I really want to get them finished because I'm feeling like I'm going to need to give them to her soon. Have another little sip of my tea. I've got some blueberry muffin tea today. This was a gift from Himiko and it is so delicious and it smells exactly like blueberry muffins. It's just lovely. Now, in here I've got my mystery knit along, the Doodler by Stephen West. So I'll show you the yarns I'm using and then I will show you the shawl, or how much I've knit of the shawl, in a minute. So if you have managed to avoid spoilers, if that's something that you want to do, then first of all you are incredible because I saw a spoiler for the first clue on waking up the day it was released. I was unimpressed by that. But yeah, if you've managed to avoid spoilers, I will let you know when I'm going to show it and you can close your eyes temporarily. So I went through my yarn choices with you last time. I had 2 different sets that I showed you and I'd narrowed that down from 4, and then closer to when we were going to cast on I came up with another selection. I just couldn't get it right, and then I cast on with the vintagey type look selection that I'd shown you on the podcast last. It just wasn't working. There wasn't enough contrast and it just didn't feel right. I don't know about you, but I get real sort of gut feelings about knitting when I can just feel when there's a good yarn pattern pairing. Are you the same? I hope so, because it sounds a bit weird otherwise, doesn't it? And this just didn't feel right, so I couldn't do it. Couldn't carry on knitting because it just wasn't working for me. So on the Saturday I suggested to David that we pop to Bath. It's the lovely yarn shop, a yarn story in Bath, that is just pure luxury, that shop. It's really, really lovely. And I was having a little tiny sulk about the fact that there were just spoilers everywhere. I was quite grumpy about it actually, because it's a mystery knit along. The only reason I do it is because it's a mystery. I can choose a shawl that I've seen quite easily, but these mystery knit alongs are fun because of the mystery aspect for me. I know not everyone's the same. Some people really like spoilers, but they are not my friend. So I'll be avoiding social media on Fridays now until I've got enough of the clue that I know what's going to be coming. So yeah, I was sulking because my colours weren't right, and I was sulking because of all the spoilers that were everywhere. So David took pity on me and took me to Bath, and we chose new yarn for the knit along. It's ridiculous, isn't it? I'm fully aware of how ridiculous I am. But anyway, so the colours I chose were hedgehog fibres in teacup, which I just think is so pretty. I love it. It's sort of creams with some shots of brown and then a really bright pink. It's lovely soft yarn as well. That's how much I had left after clue A or 1. I don't know if they're numbered or lettered. Don't suppose that matters, but I loved how it made itself into a little bow tie. And then my colour B, let me stick in here, is also hedgehog fibres, and it's in the stone colour, and it's just a really lovely semi-solid browny sort of colour, sort of a fawny brown. And then for my colour C, I chose this really lovely bright Madeleine Tosh Merino light in Pop Rocks. So yeah, I thought they were quite lovely together. And they feel right. It's a weird thing. It's very odd. But yeah, they feel right together. So, oh, nearly dropped it. I'm going to show the shawl now. So if you didn't want to see, then if you close your eyes, and I will let you know when you can open them again. Have you closed your eyes? Okay. So I've done clue 1. Yeah, I think it's clue 1 and most of clue 2. And it's just made this really fascinating shape. It was so fun to knit, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm just up to the end there where I'm nearly finished this clue. I carried my yarn up the back, and you can sort of see where, but that to me is preferable to sewing in 1,000,001 ends approximately. Yeah, so I won't explain it too much, just in case you've got your eyes closed and you don't want to hear about it. You can open your eyes again now. So yeah, that's mine, and now that I've got to that part, I can look at spoilers, and it's really interesting seeing everyone's colour selection. You take a leap of faith when you do these mystery knit-alongs, don't you? Because you have no idea what it's going to look like. So you have to anticipate that and make choices based on very little information, and it's really fun to see what choices people have made and how it's coming together for them. So yeah, I'm enjoying that, and I will be hiding from the world on Friday morning so that I can knit a bit of that clue before I see any spoilers. So, finished objects. I've got a couple of finished objects. I feel like I'm finishing stuff at such a slow rate at the moment. I don't know what that is, but I think I was watching Zena's podcast, and she hadn't podcasted for about 3 weeks, and she just was coming out with project after project that she'd finished, and there I am with a pair of socks. Never mind. So my first finished object are these cute little slippers. These are simple house slippers, and they're by Temple of Knit. And I saw Melody from Mandarines podcast, blog, and designer, and now seller of beautiful yarn. I saw that Melody had knit these, and they looked so cute that I fancied having a go. The day before, now that we've moved and the place that we're going to stay, Mum is trying to get rid of my stuff that I'd left there. So she came over with a huge bag of scraps of yarn, and these are yarns that I've had since I first started knitting. I found in this bag, one of my very first projects that I knit was a moss stitch bag. I found the yarn for that bag, which is really nice. But yeah, there were just all sorts of different scraps, including hand spun scraps. So this part at the back is hand spun. I've striped it in with this brown because I was running out. I didn't have very much. And this was hand spun from a bat that I got from Sarah's Texture Crafts at Fibre East, and I think it was the very first Fibre East that there was. It was in a field, and got some things from Sarah's Texture Crafts. I can remember exactly where I got all of my yarn and all of my fibre, and it's such a vivid memory. Are you the same? I guess maybe because they're tactile things, you remember them differently. This is Ashford Tekapo. I'm not sure of the pronunciation of that, but it's just a DK wool. It's brown. I got this wool, this was another scrap from the bag of scraps. I got this wool to knit a pair of Bella's mitts. Bella's mittens? Bella's mitts. You know, those lovely long mittens with the horseshoe cable, inspired by the mittens from Twilight. They were lovely mittens until little Bobbin chewed a hole in them. But yeah, little memory slippers. So cute. They were lovely and quick to do. I think I knit mine on 4.5mm needles. I'd really like to knit some more of these. I took a photo because I don't think I'll contort myself to get my foot up to show you, especially not because Bobbin is sleeping on my lap. Oh. I took a photo and put it on Instagram, and little Bobbin got involved, trying to get him to pose for photos. It's quite a challenge. But yeah, they're lovely and comfy. They're a really lovely shape, and I would like to make some more of these, definitely. Maybe with some more of my scraps from that bag of scraps. It was fun looking through that bag. There's just all sorts in there. All sorts of experiments in spinning, and yeah, I need to go through it again. I threw away a lot of it, and I threw away quite a lot of the hand spun. I did knitted textiles at university, and for my final project, I think as a sort of rebuttal to the fact that we were being pushed into doing fast fashion type things, I decided to do my entire final project on hand spun. It didn't go down well, let's just leave it at that. But in that time I experimented with lots of different styles of hand spun, lots of different art yarns and different fibres, and I threw loads of them away. And now I'm just thinking, why did I throw those away? I will never knit with them. They don't have that good associations for me because I didn't enjoy my time at university particularly, but there's still something, I guess, because I spent my time on them, and I'm just sort of thinking, why did I throw them away? I always do that after throwing something away, but never mind, I wouldn't have ever used them. But there are still a few bits left in that bag that hold lots of memories, so I have to work out what to do with those things. You off, Bob? Oh, oh, it's so difficult. Good boy. So yeah, they were fun. Fun little quick knit. My next finished object is David's socks. David's sparkly socks. I don't know if you can see that sparkliness. I love these. They are, it's alright Bob, it's okay, it's alright. I think that was the postman, so Bobbin just had to let him know that he wasn't impressed. Here it is again. This yarn is from British Bee Knits. It's one of her Buffy colourways. It's, Bobbin, shush now, it's okay. It's called Stop This Crazy Whirligig of Fun. And I loved knitting this. It was so much fun. I wanted to cast on another pair of British Bee Knits stripy socks immediately afterwards, but I managed to stop myself because I've just got too many projects, haven't I? I did the heel in cashmere, I think merino, cashmere, alpaca blend. So soft and lovely from the Wool Barn. And and I did a sort of rounded toe. It was improvised and I wrote down how I did it and then lost how I did it, so I had to do something slightly different for the second one, but never mind. Yeah, it's just slightly more rounded than a regular wedge toe. And I knit these on 2.25mm needles, 68 stitches for David, and I'm really pleased with how they came out. They match, which is great for me because I'm not a matchy person and I find matching stressful, but I managed to do it for these. And that's a Fish Lips Kiss Heel, which I like to use for the stripy yarns. Really pleased with those. Oh, I had another question in the thread. I'm wondering about starting a questions and answers thread in the group, because at the moment we've got the what do you want to see on the podcast thread, and that might not feel like the most natural place to leave questions, so let me know what you think about that. I only say that I might because I've been watching the question and answers on other podcasts like Molly's of Homespun House and Kristen at Vine, well, Yarngasm podcast, and I was watching Diane at Suburban Stitcher this morning do a question and answer, and hers just made me realise that I'm not completely odd, because she was saying about how she also gets all of her yarn out periodically and just plays with it, which is something that I do as well, so I really loved hearing about that. So yeah, let me know if you would like me to open a question and answer thread, or maybe I just will and see what happens. But Captain asked about blocking socks. She said that she's working on her first pair of socks and would be curious to hear about the blocking process too. If she hadn't started watching knitting podcasts, she doesn't think it would even cross her mind to block socks, and yeah, I get that. I didn't block my socks at first because I didn't realise it was a thing, but to block my socks I will finish them, sew in the ends but leave the threads. I don't trim off the ends until they've been blocked, and then I'll run the sink full of sort of tepid water with some soak in or some wool wash. I used Eucalan in the jasmine scent because I really like that scent, and it's what I currently have. So I'll pop a bit of that in, make it a bit foamy, and put the socks into the water, give them a bit of a squeeze so the water goes all through them, and leave them for about 15 minutes, or until I remember that I've put socks in the sink. And then I'll get them out, squeeze them, don't wring them. I've read that you shouldn't wring them, so I don't wring them. And then I'll lay them in a towel, and I'll roll the towel up and stand on the towel to get out the maximum amount of water. Then I'll pop them on sock blockers. And I only use sock blockers because I really like how neat it makes them look for taking photos, and then if I'm giving them as a gift I want them to look as neat as possible too. So yeah, I'll put them on the sock blocker and just hang them to dry. The blocking process, apart from just sort of giving the socks a bit of a clean, it neatens up all of your stitches, so it just makes your finished object look really lovely. Really lovely and neat. I don't know how it evens it up. Never looked into that, but it does. And so yeah, I always block my socks the first time when I've just finished them, but then after that, when I'm just wearing them, I don't re-block them. I just wash them and then hang them over the dryer. So I hope that helps. That's how I block my socks anyway. So yeah, I'm pleased to have those finished for David. Now on to lovely things. While we were in Bath, I got those yarns for the mystery knit along, and this time we explored a little bit further and found Wool, which is another yarn shop. I didn't think we were going to be able to because we got there quite late again, and yeah, we're not not the most organised of people, but yeah, we got there. I think we got to Wool about 20 minutes before it was going to shut or something. We hadn't been to Wool before, and it was such a lovely shop. The light was dimming, and it was down this sort of little, not alleyway, but the buildings in Bath are just beautiful. I'll put this photo on the show notes. You have to excuse the skip, but that's also in the picture. But it just looked like such a lovely scene with the light dimming and just walking towards this warm and welcoming looking yarn shop. It was just lovely. And the wool shop inside was gorgeous. It was the perfect sort of really cosy yarn shop. The selection was wonderful. They had sort of your more luxurious yarns, but also your yarns that you would use for jumpers and things. They're more workhorse type yarns. And the people in there were so friendly, and they had a dog who was just the most gorgeous thing ever. And even though they had a dog, they let Bobbin go in, which was really, really kind. I didn't take him in at first because I thought that he'd get quite overwhelmed by this dog that I think Bobbin was the size of this dog's head. He was a big boy. But he came in a little bit later and got sniffed at by this dog, and he wasn't too impressed. But it was just a lovely, welcoming, beautiful, cosy space, and the people were just so friendly and lovely, and I'm really looking forward to going back to that shop because it was just, yeah. But the people of Bath, you were very, very lucky having two such fantastic yarn shops in such close proximity. They're quite different yarn shops, but they're both fantastic. Anyway, so I love Bath. I want to go there again for longer. It's a lovely place just to walk around as well because the buildings are so interesting. So while I was in Wool, I picked up some Socks, Yeah, the new yarn from Coop Knits, because I hadn't seen it before and I thought it looked really interesting. They're sort of heathery yarns, and they're really lovely. So they're 50-gram skeins, so I got 2 of each colour. So this one's Amalite. It's a really lovely corally colour. I do love coral. That's one of my favourite colours. And this one is Chryso. It's really beautiful, greeny, tealy green sort of colour. So I really like those. It was really lovely to see yarns that I haven't seen before there. So yes, very, very pleased with those. So if you're in Bath, then I've mentioned before about a yarn story. It's a really, really lovely yarn shop, and I'd really recommend going to Wool as well because it is just wonderful. Everything a yarn shop should be: welcoming, full of wonderful yarn, cosy, just fantastic shop. So other lovely things, as I mentioned at the beginning, I went to Festival. Festival is in Hitchin. I went last year, and this year Mum was away again this weekend. She's missed all of the yarn shows this year, I think, because she's usually the one who comes with me. Oh no, she went to I Knit Fandango with me. But yeah, she's just missing them all, being away so much, which is a shame. But as she was away, I went, David drove me up there, and we had to take Bob in because Mum wasn't here to look after him, and very happily I managed to sneak him in. I say sneak. I asked them at the desk when I was paying for my ticket whether it would be okay if I brought my little dog in. And they said, try it, see what happens. So I liked that attitude. I thought that was fun. So yeah, Bobbin came in. Not sure he was wild about the experience, but he was a very good boy. It seemed a bit bigger this year. I think there were some more stands. It's not a huge festival, but it's big enough for a nice little look round. And yeah, I think there were a few more stands there than last year. It was fun. I got to meet Carly, which is absolutely lovely. I was so pleased to meet you, Carly, and your little sweet fox. And I got to meet Jane again. I met Jane at I Knit Fandango, and she had a stand at festival on Saturday. Did I say it was on Sunday? It was on Saturday. If I ever say dates or days on this podcast, please just disregard them completely. When I've been editing podcasts in the past, I think every time I've said a date, it has been wrong. Every time, without fail. So yeah, just completely ignore any dates that I say, and days now, it seems. But yes, Jane had a stand. She works under the name Gardening Witch Designs. She had a stand there selling lovely things that she makes. And my first purchase was from her. And it was this cute bag. Isn't that adorable? I'd seen this on a little Periscope sneak peek that Jane had done a few weeks ago now, and I fell in love with it then, so I was thrilled to be able to pick it up at festival. So cute. Very, very pleased with that. And Jane very, very generously gave me some little stitch markers too. She sells these in her shop as well. Gardening Witch Designs is gardeningwitch-designs.co.uk. I'll pop links in the show notes. Just beautiful. So I was really pleased with those. My next purchase was from Porpoise Fur. And I've seen Porpoise Fur at some different events. I saw them at I Knit Fandango again, I think. And I've seen them somewhere else. I can't remember where. And I've always been quite intrigued by them because they stock different fibres. I haven't found that it's that common to see different fibres. At shows that I've been to and things, I notice Merino, BFL, Shetland. I don't really notice many other breeds, so I'm always really interested in Porpoise Fur because she brings different breeds. I don't think she actually dyes on merino at all, actually. But this one is Finnish. Oh, and this colourway is called Rudolph. I just thought it was lovely. And I thought it would be interesting to spin a different sheep breed. Love the colours in here. There's browns, there's sort of rusty oranges, teal greens, pinks. It's just gorgeous. So I'm very intrigued by this. It's not merino soft, but it's lovely, and I'm not particularly delicate, so softness isn't my main focus, especially not with spinning. I really, really enjoy a more woolly spin, and I think this will be quite woolly and lovely. I can imagine it as a hat. I don't have a clue what it's going to spin like, but I want to wear this on my head, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I was pleased with that. And then my last purchases were from Whimsy. There was that lovely Colours of the Underground yarn, and then I got this one too, which is on the same base, and it's called Prairie Dusk. and I just thought it was really, really pretty. This is my colours, the sort of lovely delicate mauves, lilac sort of colours, and then there's some bronzes in there, some blush pinks. Really beautiful. And there's some darker spots down here as well. I don't know if you can see those. Just really, really pretty. That lovely light pink there. Oh, I think that's really lovely. So I'm pleased with that. Very nice. Anyway, I'll stop just admiring that. I've been having second thoughts about my Agatha socks. I'm thinking maybe they need to be in this. I think the different colours that are going through this might work quite interestingly for those socks. Do you know what? I'm going to cast those socks on this afternoon. You didn't need to be party to that little plotting, did you? But it just suddenly came to me, and I really want to cast those socks on. It has been long enough, and I found my 2.25mm needles. Anyway, so yes, they're my lovely things from Bath and from Festival, and I really, really love them. I'm very excited about those. So, we have a new giveaway. Sarah from Naughty Gnome Crafts has recently released a new pattern. It's called the Euclid. Well, it's a set of 2 patterns, a cowl and a hat. Let me find it to show you. It's a crochet pattern, and it's tapestry crochet, which I've never tried before. So intriguing. But it's lovely. Here it is. And if you were to buy both of the patterns together, it's $8, which is a bit of a discount, which is lovely. So thank you to Sarah from Naughty Gnome Crafts for donating your new designs to us. And if you would like to win the hat and the cowl pattern, I would really like to hear about a new technique that you haven't tried before but really interests you. And I say that because I've never tried tapestry crochet, and I honestly have no idea how it works, but it's always interested me. So yeah, I might have to try that. But yes, I'll open a thread, and if you just let me know a technique that you're interested in trying that you've never tried before, then that'd be lovely to hear about. I drew for the Agatha Socks giveaway, and the winner, using random.org, and the winner was post 108, and that's Oscar Ernie. I don't know if I saw your name on... I don't know if I saw your name on the profile. Hang on 1 second. Let me just... Mindy. Just not seen it, sorry about that. So Mindy, Oscar and Ernie, you've won the pattern, so congratulations, and thank you very much to Claire from NH Knits for donating that pattern to us. It's a beautiful sock pattern, so I really hope you enjoy knitting that. And I loved that thread. To be entered in that thread, you had to share one of your quirks, and it was just such funny reading, and yeah, I had a lot in common with all of you in that. And Mindy, I totally get your quirk as well. Things should be shut. I can't go to sleep with wardrobe doors open and things like that. So yeah, it made me laugh reading through that because I shared so many with you. And I just wanted to remind you that we've got the year I've been podcasting a year celebration giveaway, and that thread is just so lovely. I'm constantly moved by that thread actually, especially at the moment when the world is in such a scary way of being. That thread has really provided some upliftingness not a real word, but it's a real thing. So yeah, it's been such a lovely thread to hear about your lovely things that have happened over the last year. So thank you so much for sharing, and if you haven't entered yet and you would like to, then just pop over to that thread. And yeah, it's lovely, lovely thread. I really love that thread. So thank you so much for taking part, and I'll draw for that prize in the next episode. So I think that's all I've got today. I really appreciate you coming to watch. Let me know if you're coming to the Curious Handmade Crimbo party on Sunday. That is the actual day it's happening. It's happening on Sunday. Yeah, and I hope you have a really lovely time until I see you next. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.